Hi, my name is Tatiana. I am a lash artist and a serial entrepreneur. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're going to be talking about lash artistry. So for those of you who don't know me, I am 24. I'm about to turn 25 very soon in November. I'm a Scorpio. But yeah, so I've been a lash artist for 5+ years now, and it's been an amazing journey. I am so thankful for this. If you're interested in learning more about the lash industry, stick around. I hope you enjoy this, because not only do I talk about entrepreneurship, but I also talk about lash artistry, motivation, and lifestyle. So a little bit of everything in this channel. I hope you can keep up. So aside from lashes, I also sell on Amazon, so that's why you will see other videos about Amazon FBA. So yeah, getting back to my lash story. So I want to create a lash course here on YouTube for free for every single one of you guys that need help with getting started in the industry. It's not easy. It's definitely not something you can pick up from one day to another, but it is an industry that can take you to many places. And what I mean by that is it can give you a lot. Thankfully, lashing has given me the support to be able to venture out in other businesses like Amazon FBA, selling on Etsy, creating and developing products. So lashing honestly has given me so much. I've been able to travel and just live life because my lashing career has allowed me to afford it. So with that being said, I'm going to share with you my story about being a lash artist. So a little backstory about my lash career and how it started. Well, I've been lashing for 5 years. I believe I started in 2017. Yes, April 2017. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, April 17 I started. So I went to beauty school. I'm a licensed esthetician. When I was in beauty school, I realized I didn't really like esthetician work. So I was like, let me see what other options can I get into and like go from there, right? So a classmate of mine during ST school, she went to go get a Lash Course training. I don't recall how much she paid, but she went to this course and they taught her like Russian volume, but those Russian volume on steroids. And I was like, I don't know. But in my mind, I was like, I've always wanted to have a lash business. And when I mean lash business, I mean like strip lashes and create a brand out of that, right? So in my head at the moment, I was like, maybe in order for me to be able to sell lashes, I should also know how to do lashes. So that's what kind of pushed me to take a course and learn how to do lashes. So right after beauty school, like a month later, I applied for a course to do lashes. I paid around $1,000 for my course, and it was the most basic, most like simple course you can think of. She literally taught me how to do simple things, and I was like, okay, cool. This gave me the basic knowledge. I'm a very hands-on learner, so I understood what to do from the get-go. I just needed to better my craft. So I took my course and I practiced for a whole month straight. A whole month. I would just tell my friends, my cousins, whoever I can think of to come on over my house, lay on my bed, like my mattress, and I would do their lashes. I remember I would lay them down diagonally. I have a queen bed, and I would lay them down diagonally and I would do their lashes, right? Because I didn't have a setup, no nothing. I barely had supplies that the school gave me that I wanted to take my course. So okay, so I practiced and I did it for a whole month. Prior to that, right after beauty school, I started working for a European wax center. And so I was working at European wax center, and at the same time I was practicing doing lashes on the side. And also the girls at European wax center, I was like, hey, come on over, like let me do your lashes, let me practice on you. A lot of girls were like, yeah, and I was charging very little, very minimum, because God knows I did not know how to do lashes at the time. So fast forward to a month of me practicing how to do lashes. I went on Indeed and I applied for a job. and I applied at this place in Santa Monica. It was a lash boutique, and I live in California, by the way, so Santa Monica, California. And so I applied, and the lady was like, oh my god, your work is great, all you need to do is put a tissue over your client's forehead. And I'm like, okay, cool, that's very simple, because she requires a tissue on their forehead. That way when you're like touching them, your hands, your bare hands are not on their like skin and stuff. That's something that I can get into later on. But yeah, so I applied, and then from there, I kid you not, I had no idea that it was gonna be a huge roller coaster. And what I mean by that is that I didn't know how to do lashes fast paced, and this lady required me to do them within a 2-hour time frame. It would take me normally prior to that 4 hours to get like maybe 30 lashes on, and it was insane. But you know, the more I did it, the more easier it became. It was just something, you know, lashing is very repetitive, so I just continued doing it and practicing every single day on my. Overall, my experience at that company was, it was okay. It wasn't the best. The first year went really well. It was like my learning year, I want to say. And then the second year I felt more and more confident. So it literally took me 1 year to feel confident in classic lash application. So ladies, if you're like starting, don't worry, it takes time for you to feel confident in your work. And still to this day, you know, sometimes I do feel a little insecure, but I remind myself I am an artist, and artistry isn't supposed to be perfect. You know, you make out of it what you believe is perfect. So with that being said, be patient, be easy, and go easy on yourself. Don't be so harsh. Just make sure you're applying the lashes properly, and you know, that will take you a long way. Anywho, back to my story. So yeah, so I continued working there. I worked there for 2.5 years. Yeah, about 2.5 years, and everything was going well. But you know, long story short, towards the end, everybody around me was getting raises, and when I went to go ask for one, she was like, no. And I was like, why? And she goes, because I can't afford it. And that's when I'm like, okay, my work has improved drastically. I have at this point built up a clientele. You know what, let me just branch out and go on my own, because I didn't see a future there anymore. And not only that, but this lady didn't care for her business the way she used to care for it in the beginning, and would just throw us under the bus multiple times. It was such a toxic environment, and I can get into that and more in another video if you're interested in learning about that. But overall, this company, I was just so glad to get out of there. So in 2019, I want to say April of 2019. It's always happening around April, right? I think so. I'm not quite sure, but somewhere in 2019, at the beginning, it was early 2019, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she's like, hey, I just got a Salon Republic suite and I need help with rent. Do you want to share it? And it was like the perfect timing, and I took it. I just went for it. When my friend reached out to me, I just looked at it as an opportunity, and I was like, you know what, I need to just take a leap of faith. I kid you not, I think I have like $200 in my bank account. I was making decent money with the company, but I was also spending everything I was making, because at that time I had no idea about financial literacy or anything, and I was still living at home. So it was like, okay, you know, I didn't care, nothing. So I literally had $200 to my name. I was like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? I can't afford this. But I had a little bit in savings. I didn't have a lot, and I used my savings to pay for the first month of me being inside Salon Republic. And I was only paying $900 for the month, and that was 3 days every week. So I had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday available to me, and I had the suite all to myself those 3 days. And the other days, the other girl took care of those. Like, she was running those days. A lot of my clients, I told them, hey, I'm leaving, you know, but I recommend you so and so within the company I was working at the time, because I signed a non-disclosure agreement, so I really couldn't like pull them towards me. somehow they all started just following me. They like, one of my coworkers was like, oh, she's there, she's there. Like they would tell them like, hey, she's over there. And like that's kind of how my clients started like coming towards me. So I didn't reel them in, they kind of were like tossed towards me. So I was very, very thankful and blessed. And at the time, you know, I didn't have much money, so I literally would ask my clients, I was like, hey, I'll trade you a lash service if you help me design a logo. And my clients, they're in a lot of different professions. So one of my designer clients, she is a graphic designer, and I asked her to design my logo, and she did. She helped me design my logo, and I exchanged a lash service for a logo design. So okay, that was cool. And then I had another client who is a lawyer, and I was like, hey, can you help me create a liability waiver form? That's what I'm trying to get. I asked her to help me create that, and she's like, yeah, for sure. Same thing, I exchanged lashes for my liability waiver form. And that's kind of how I started getting like my groove in things, and that's how I started getting access to things that I needed but didn't have the resources to pay for them. So I got creative in that aspect. And then from there, after that, I just started marketing. I started marketing on Yelp. I hired a social media company. At that time I started making a little bit more money, so I was like, okay, cool. You know, people were coming in because not only was I getting referred by the girl that I was sharing the room with, but people just walking by inside Salon Republic, they were seeing my work, they were seeing me, and they would just come. So people were coming in. So maybe like 2-3 months later, I hired a social media company, and I was paying them $600 to do my social media and like just curate it. And I tried them for 60 days, and I just thought it was a waste of money because I didn't see any real improvement in my analytics or anything. But back then I didn't really know much about analytics, so I was like, okay. So then prior to that, I was also paying Yelp. I was paying Yelp $600, but then I realized that personally for me, Yelp, I didn't see any results. Yelp was just kind of wishy-washy. I just didn't like it. It wasn't sending me clients. I wasn't getting as much exposure. I just feel like for lash artists, Yelp isn't like the place. So then I started doing Google ads. Oh my god, Google ads just like helped me skyrocket my business. But yeah, you know, I was just growing my clientele. I was just starting on my own, you know, because prior to that, the company I was working for, they did all the advertisement, they did everything. All I had to do was just show up and work. That's all I did. So it was very, very different. You know, I kind of learned a lot of new things that I didn't know in the past. So yeah, so then I started just advertising, promoting myself on Instagram. Instagram was like major back then. Now there's TikTok, before there wasn't. But yeah, so I was just throwing my work on Instagram, and you know, looking back at my pictures, they weren't great, but I was still posting, and I was just being as consistent as possible. So fast forward to a year later, I was there in Salon Republic for a whole year, and then I was like, you know, this is very expensive. I only get three days out of the week for $900 a month. This isn't worth it. And I was like, man, you know, my clientele was growing. People wanted to see me in different hours, different days. My schedule just wasn't lining up with my clientele. So at the end of 2019, in December or so, a friend of mine was like, hey, I'm gonna get a studio in Brentwood, want to come with me? And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. So then I did, and I went to Brentwood with her, and we shared a suite, and it was only $400 each. It was $1,000 for the whole month. No, sorry, $950 for the whole month. So I was like, fuck yeah, like this is amazing. So I was only paying $450. And she got in there a little bit earlier than I did. I came in a little later, so I came in January 2020. We were there 3 months. And in March of 2020, the pandemic hits. Oh my god. I realized, like, you know, my clients just dropped dead. Nobody wanted to come. Everybody was so scared, and I was still paying rent. And at the time, I had already moved out. I had just gotten a new car. Like, I had bills to pay, and I was like, fuck, what am I gonna do? Like, my clients are not coming. I have rent, first time on my own paying like rent for myself, like my apartment, my living. And I realized, I told my friend, I was like, hey, I'm so sorry, I can't continue paying rent here because my clients just don't want to come and I don't know what I'm gonna do. So from there, what I did is I didn't work for 2 months. I went on unemployment, and then I was like, you know what, I didn't feel comfortable doing unemployment. I was like, I need to find a job. So I reached out to another friend, and she's like, well, my dispensary, she was working at a dispensary, and she's like, they're hiring drivers to deliver weed. And I was like, okay. And I started selling weed. Well, not selling, but I started delivering weed, and I worked for this company for about 2 months as well. So I worked for like 2 months, and I was like, you know, after a while I was realizing I was adding too many miles to my current car, or to my car at the time. And I also didn't like that because it was a lease, and I was like, you know, I can't be adding all these miles. I don't want to be paying all this money at the end. So I stopped working for them. I told them, you know, thank you so much, but I had already communicated that with them, that this was only temporary. But yeah, so I stopped working with them. I had to move out of my current place because they were upping my rent. So I was like, you know what, no, I can't. So from there, I moved from that place to I was living in Sherman Oaks at the time, and I moved from Sherman Oaks to Mid City. And in Mid City, I got a two bedroom place, a little back house. And I got the idea of converting one of my bedrooms into my lash studio. So I did. I converted one of the bedrooms into my lash studio, and I started advertising the crap out of my business. And within, I kid you not, like 8 months or so, fully booked. I grew my clientele so much, and that gave me the courage to do other things. It gave me the courage to just grow as an individual. And through that whole process of learning how to grow my clientele, I did so many things, so many mistakes. And that whole time of 2020, it was just such a growth opportunity for me. I grew so much as an individual, as a business person. I taught myself financial literacy. I taught myself how to save, how to invest. I started reading more books. I started, you know, learning more and learning about other sources of income. And that's when I came across Amazon FBA, and why I started selling on Amazon, because it was so intriguing to me. But yeah, going from, you know, not having clients for a few months to like slowly growing my clientele again. Fast forwarding to 2021, I was a full-time lash artist again, you know, with a full clientele, fully booked every single month, making really good money. You know, I can't complain. And from there, 2021, I entered 2021 knowing that I was capable of doing so much. So I used that year, and I just really grew my business as a lash artist. I used the rest of 2020 to like continue learning and growing my knowledge and expanding my growth as an individual. I started marketing more to my clients, and just attracting more clientele, bringing more people in general. And then 2021 was a great year for me. It was an amazing year. I used all the knowledge I learned in 2020 and applied it, and really went in full throttle into my business. It got to the point where I was investing so much into marketing, not just my time, but monetary value as well. I was paying up to $1,000 sometimes a month on just advertising, but from those $1,000 I was getting a lot in return, you know. So it was very well invested money, I'd like to say. And yeah, and from there, like, it was such a learning experience, you know. 2020 for a lot of people, unfortunately, it was not the greatest, but for me it was a year of an eye-opening experience. I learned so many things, I expanded, I grew, and today it has honestly helped me become who I am today. And yeah, that's my story of how I became a lash artist. And I hope this helps you and inspires you and shows you that honestly anything is possible. There's always going to be ups and downs, especially in entrepreneurship, but it is such a fun journey to be in. Personally, I think I'm very thankful and grateful. I don't think, I know I'm very grateful and thankful for who I've become and what I have and what I have been able to grow through this experience and just gain, honestly, because it's all life lessons. And I've met such amazing, beautiful people in this industry. Honestly, I'm so blessed and I'm very, very thankful. It's brought me so many other opportunities. For example, my FBA store, my product that I'm developing called Loda, and many other opportunities that are coming very soon that I can't wait to share. But they haven't started yet, so once those start, I'll share my experiences with those other ventures I'm planning. But yeah, thank you so much for watching my video. I appreciate you taking the time and getting to know me a little bit more. I also do plan on creating a course here on YouTube about how to lash. And I want to do an A through Z course, explaining step by step and really helping anybody out there who's interested in becoming a lash artist and doesn't have the means to start. I want to be that free resource that they can go to and really just absorb all my knowledge. So stay tuned for that. I'm gonna plan that out and have like everything really prepared and just organized as best as possible for you guys. That way when you go in, you guys can all have it in one place. So thank you so much again. Don't forget to subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and share this video to anyone who I can inspire. And if you guys have questions, like I said before, please don't hesitate in asking me. I'm an open book. I do not sugarcoat things. I'm very blunt, very direct. I am a Scorpio, as we all know. We're very direct people. But yeah, thank you so much. Bye.